Some warning signs don't scream, they whisper. They feel confusing, heavy, off, but you can't quite explain why. Most men ignore those warning signs because they don't look dangerous at first. But warning signs don't show up to be obvious, they show up to test you. And when women show these patterns, walking away isn't weakness, it's clarity. This video breaks down 7 warning signs women show, the kind most men miss, and why you should walk away before it costs you your peace, your confidence, and your time. So if you're a man who wants stronger boundaries, clearer relationships, more control over your emotional life, subscribe to the channel now. We're building a space for men who think deeper, not louder. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so your support right now truly makes a difference. Topic 1. She creates confusion instead of clarity. There's a big difference between mystery and confusion, even though most people mix the two up. Mystery creates curiosity, pulls you in, makes you want to know more. Confusion does the opposite. It drains your energy, messes with your head, and makes a man question his own perception. When a woman constantly changes what she says, what she feels, and what she wants, that's not charm, it's an emotional red flag. He starts realizing he never knows where he stands. One day she's interested, the next she pulls away with no explanation. Promises stay vague, important conversations never get resolved, and everything feels unfinished. Slowly, he spends more time decoding signals than actually enjoying the relationship. And here's something people don't talk about enough. Healthy relationships naturally move toward clarity, not constant guessing. Men with experience learn this the hard way. Emotional peace doesn't come from figuring out unpredictable people. It comes from relationships where words and actions line up. When confusion becomes the norm, the brain stays in survival mode, always expecting something to go wrong. And that unstable ground is exactly where the most dangerous emotional tests begin, the ones involving affection, attention, and subtle control. Topic 2. She tests you by withholding affection. One of the quietest emotional games happens when affection stops being natural and starts being used as leverage. It's not obvious rejection, and it's not full distance either. It's subtle. She becomes cold after disagreements, distant when he doesn't behave the way she expects, and warm again when he gets it right. Without realizing it, he starts associating love with performance. At first, he brushes it off. She's just having a bad day, he tells himself. But over time, the pattern repeats. Fewer hugs, short replies, a different tone. And then that strange feeling kicks in, like he's constantly being evaluated in a test he never signed up for. The worst part? No one explains the rules and they keep changing. Emotionally mature men understand that healthy affection isn't a reward or a punishment. Care shouldn't disappear as a form of control. When it does, something breaks inside spontaneity, starts walking on eggshells, choosing words carefully, swallowing discomfort just to keep the connection alive. And that's usually the moment when personal boundaries quietly start getting pushed. Topic 3. She subtly disrespects your boundaries. It almost never starts with something big. Most of the time, boundary violations come disguised as jokes, curiosity, or concern. A sarcastic comment about something that matters to him, joke about his plans, all that light pressure after he already said no. Everything feels too small to confront, and that's exactly why it works. Over time, he notices his boundaries are always being tested. When he asks for space, she pushes. When he states a preference, she downplays it. If he reacts, she flips the situation and says he's overreacting or being too sensitive. Little by little, he starts giving in before being pushed just to avoid conflict. Men who've lived this usually say the same thing. It wasn't one big mistake that changed everything. It was a series of small compromises. Boundaries ignored today become expectations tomorrow. When someone normalizes crossing emotional lines, it opens the door to something even deeper. The slow loss of identity inside the relationship. Topic 4. She makes you feel guilty for being yourself. This sign is especially dangerous because it doesn't attack directly, it wears you down over time. Nothing he does feels good enough, but nothing is clearly wrong either. His hobbies become immature, his goals unrealistic, his friends bad influences. There are no direct demands, just subtle comments that make him question who he is and whether he's too much. Eventually, he starts adjusting. He talks less about what he likes, avoids certain topics, and even changes behaviors to keep the peace. Not because he wants to, but because being himself creates tension. And here's the critical point. When someone feels guilty just for existing as they are, something very deep has already been damaged. Wise men understand that a good relationship expands you. It doesn't shrink you. When being with someone requires shrinking dreams, hiding opinions, or apologizing for core personality traits, the emotional cost is too high. And strangely enough, the more he adapts, the more dissatisfied she becomes. That silent erosion often leads straight into a cycle where drama becomes the main source of connection. Topic 5. She thrives on drama and emotional chaos. In healthy relationships, problems come up and get resolved. Here they don't. There's always tension in the air, even when things seem fine. If there's no real conflict, one gets created. A comment turns into a fight. Silence becomes an accusation. A small detail becomes proof of disinterest. Peace, oddly enough, feels boring. He starts noticing that calm moments never last. A crisis always follows. An emotional charge. A sudden complaint. Heavy atmosphere no one can fully explain. And the more he tries to keep things smooth, the more it feels like walking through quicksand. It's as if the relationship needs instability to survive. Experienced men learn that intensity isn't depth. Constant drama isn't passion. It's emotional exhaustion. When chaos becomes routine, the body stays in fight. Flight mode energy drops, and clarity disappears. That environment creates the perfect stage for something even more destructive. Her inability to take responsibility for anything that happens. Topic 6. She avoids accountability and plays the victim. Here, every serious conversation follows the same script. When he brings up something that bothers him, the roles flip fast. Suddenly, she's the wounded one, the misunderstood one, the victim of everything. The focus shifts away from the real issue and onto her pain, while the original problem vanishes. He starts realizing that trying to communicate only creates more confusion. Words get twisted. Intentions are questioned. Any attempt at accountability turns into a personal attack. Instead of two people seeking understanding, it becomes an emotional game where someone is always wrong and it's never her. Wise men know emotional maturity means owning mistakes, not running from them. When someone never takes responsibility, growth stops. He learns to suppress discomfort just to avoid emotional blow-ups, and that comes at a quiet cost. And this is usually where the most ignored warning sign finally shows up, not through her words, but through how he feels around her. Topic 7. You feel drained, not empowered around her. This is the final sign, and almost always the most ignored. It doesn't involve clear arguments or obvious behaviors. It's a feeling. After spending time with her, something feels off, energy drops, the mind feels heavy, motivation fades. There's no clear reason, just emotional fatigue. Attentive men learn to notice how they feel after, not just during. Healthy relationships leave you lighter, more confident, more driven. Here it's the opposite. He walks away confused, second-guessing decisions, doubting himself, always feeling emotionally behind. And that's not normal, even if it's common. Intuition usually speaks before logic catches up. When being around someone constantly drains you, something essential is misaligned. That feeling doesn't come from nowhere. It's the sum of all the warning signs before it. And when a man finally listens to that signal, a quiet but powerful question emerges. And that's exactly where real change begins. Conclusion. At this point, the real question isn't about her. It's about you. How many warning signs have you already felt but chose to ignore? How many times did your intuition speak quietly while your mind tried to justify what didn't feel right? Awareness only matters when it turns into action. So take a moment and ask yourself what boundaries you need to reinforce, what patterns you must stop tolerating, and what kind of relationship truly deserves your time and energy. If this video helped you see things more clearly, imagine what consistent clarity can do for your life. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos. We're building a space for men who value self-respect, emotional intelligence, and real growth, and we're pushing toward 1,000 subscribers. So joining now means you're part of the foundation, not just the audience.